full hat, all made and cinched down tight over your ears. So take it away, Dave and Mickey.
Hello and welcome to Shiny Side Out with
Dave
and Mickey on WZZR, broadcasting from Australia for Revolution Radio on Freedom. Well, actually, it is now on Revolution.radio.
That's right.
So if you can't find the website, it's no longer freedomslips.com. You need to go to Revolution.radio. I know it's still fairly new, but it's Revolution.radio. And it's more than just radio. So jump in the chat room if you can. And this is show number 305 or 307. Oh my God, I've been asleep for 1,000 years. It's show number 377 and 300. And we're going to finish talking about the hypothesis today, which should be pretty interesting, guys. It should be pretty interesting. And it's on air, it's online, on the line, and it's on your smart device, whatever that might be. So you can grab an app to listen anywhere, anytime. And you can listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio. If you missed Solaris' show, she had Charles Ostman on there, and they were talking about artificial intelligence. So whole hoo-ha going on about artificial intelligence and the singularity and all that. We can probably have a little chat about that as well. Now, if you did miss it, that's it's excusable. It's okay, but you can remedy that miss by simply subscribing to Freedom Slips, to the archives. It's $5 a month. $5. That's pretty okay, I think. And you can get access to any and all content. And you can check out her shows, our shows, anyone's shows. It's pretty cool. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land. It's the Daruk people for me and
the Dark and Young people
for Dave. That's correct. And we pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. No, this is not a gimmick. It's a culture that's, well, I reckon well over 100,000 years old, but that's, what I think.
And wait, Mackie, let us remember that beneath our houses, concrete, roads, buildings, and lands, there are stories that have been passed down for 240,000 generations.
That's right. In fact, I would go as far as saying that the Aboriginal culture in Australia and Torres Strait is our link into the dim and distant past. If you look at some of the paintings, they have some of the petroglyphs, some of the carvings. With the carvings, it's hard to say, how old they are. Very old, I would wager. But they're connecting us to the dream time, to a time before time, to a time where gods walked on the earth, and life was quite different to what it is now. And it behooves us to listen to the stories. I'm not saying they're all exactly true, but I do believe that all of these traditions, as they're passed down to us, have a kernel of truth, which is in part what the hypothesis is about as well. But yeah, look, just to go quickly back to Solaris' show, do try to listen to her. She always has brilliant guests. And she's a great interviewer. Having said that, she's also a great interviewee, because we've had her on our show now. I think it's 4 times. I don't want to lie. But she's been here for 100, 200, and 300, and probably in between as well. So, we're still going strong at 307. 307. It's a lot of content. It's interesting. You'd think that we would have run out of things to say by now, but the world is a lot more mysterious, and the world provides us with our content. None of this is made up, right? So it's really it's fascinating stuff. Dave, how has your 2 weeks been? And then I'll quickly apologize as well for not being here last week. I'll tell you where I was. But yeah, so how have the last 2 weeks been?
They've been pretty good. I made a solar-powered, motorized, battery-driven, light-sensed chicken door opener and closer.
Saw that. Pretty cool.
And the first night, 5 chooks didn't make it in. The second night, there was 2, then 1, and then none. So I think they're smarter than we give them credit for. What's left of the T-Rex, which is the modern-day chicken. Every time I see my chooks do their thing that they do, scratching the ground and pecking, I just see the same thing. I see the T-Rex doing it. It sounds silly, but I reckon there must have been creatures beneath the ground, soft, wormy kind of creatures, maybe with tough things, tough outer casings that they scratch the ground. I really believe that. I believe that that we've imposed upon them this fantastic battle creature who's got soft skin neck, who's got little hands that couldn't possibly defend itself against anything. Yeah? It can't push, jump, and fire at the same time. We know that from Toy Story. This is the thing. We've imposed this monstrous creature with the big teeth. Maybe that's all it did. Maybe it just scrounged at the ground and picked whatever was underground. We've got cockroaches that are monstrous here where I live, that live under the leaf litter. Maybe there was something even bigger that we don't know.
Well, chances are that, I mean, we know that most of the species that live today at some point in the past had a gigantic form. We know that for a fact. There's no arguing this, and since
so
we all know.
What was that period in time called?
Well, they were gigantic for a number of different periods.
Yep.
In the Pleistocene, though, certainly, but in the recent, actually, the gigantic mammals, they died out about 15 to 20,000 years ago. You know, the giant sloth and all those. But before that, certainly contemporaries of the dinosaurs, so 65, 100 million years ago, they had some gigantic creatures there as well. But this whole idea that, you know, our life right now, as it presents itself on the Earth, is in fact, you know, the end of it or representative of what used to exist. Not true. No. 95 of all species that have ever existed are now extinct. 95% of all species, not of all animals that ever existed. No, we're talking about species. So we've got a tiny little fraction of species still alive today. But yeah, look, Dave, I mean, again, you know, it comes back to the giant people as well. And were there giants once? Well, there's no reason why there couldn't have been gigantic human beings, right?
Or the depictions of the people in ancient cultures.
Yeah.
While the people today, the historians, look at it and say, well, they were deities. They were just drawn bigger.
Yeah, that's right.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Right.
What, in every culture they decided to do the same thing? No.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what
convinced that they were much larger.
Yeah.
Physically
but again,
larger.
Yeah, and look, once again though, I mean, why not? Why not? What is so horrible to admit that at one point human beings, or you know, some variety of human beings was a lot larger than we are today. I was in Singapore, like I said, last week, and it's like a melting pot of the world, really, because you got expats from everywhere. You got everybody from Asia is there. You know, it's like everybody's in Singapore. And I saw a tiny little Filipino woman, and she, you know, if she was more than 4.5 feet tall, you know, I'll eat my hat. But she was not, but she was a fully grown woman. Obviously, she was out with her friends. You know, she may have been a maid, I don't know, but you know, there she was, tiny. And it just so happened that this Sudanese, and he may not have been Sudanese. To me, he looked Sudanese. He was very dark, very, very tall, very, very thin. Might have been Ethiopian, but to me, he looked Sudanese from the. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, he was well over 2 meters, something, right? And they was just past each other in the street on Orchard Road. And I mean, if you had a whole bunch of these tall guys and then a whole bunch of these little people, you know, you go, okay, well, there's the dwarves and there's the giants, right? I mean, just looking at, there was a good meter and a half between them, right? Which is a lot, especially if they're next to each other, right? So look, even with the very limited range of variation we have in our species, Homo sapiens sapiens, there are massive differences, right? Even though our genome is meant to be, like 99% or 99.9% the same, the truth is there's a huge variation even within us. Now imagine overlaying that on at some point contemporary with at least 4 other species, at least 4, The species, yeah. There's Neanderthal. There was Homo forensis, you know, the little people from Papua New Guinea. There was who else was there? There was yes, there was Oregon Man, and there was another one which we haven't given a name to yet. But the point is, those were different, somewhat to us, more different than we are amongst each other. So the variation would have been even greater. So look. If we are in the possession of all knowledge and environment we see today, yeah, that's what it is, gents. Nothing further to know. We have learned it all.
Do you know what, Mackie? I heard a great quote, a fantastic quote.
So sorry, Singapore. Yes.
Wait. I heard a really good quote this week, and it was to do. I suppose it was to do with science versus religion. Now, I'm not bagging out religion. I don't care for it. I care for what the message has and how it relates to the Sumerian text, as Meki well knows. But if all of the religious texts were destroyed in 1,000 years, it would come back in some form, I suppose, right? Because people would be seeking out something about God, no doubt. However, if all of the science documentation was destroyed today, and we were taken back to the Stone Age in both situations, in 1,000 years, every piece of that science literature would come back. All of the science facts would come back, because science is science. I mean, it's repeatable. So don't get me on the quantum. But that's what that is. And I heard it. That was a great quote. I couldn't believe that it was done so eloquently. So Mackie, Singapore, and you're right. You know what? If you're only 4.5 foot tall, everybody else is a giant to you. So why does it, as Mackie said?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So why couldn't it be that there's people taller than us today? I know when I was...
Oh, much taller.
Yeah, much. I mean, exceedingly tall. 3 times taller. Who knows? Even 4 times. Meki, when I was living in a terrace house, which is terraces like the old 200-year-old houses, where people from England came over. The kitchens are tiny, the houses are tiny, the benches are really low. You could barely use it with today's height of people. So that the amount of change that we've experienced in the last 200 years is enough for us to have appeared like giants to those people who came here 200 years ago.
Yeah, look, and that's exactly right. I mean, there's a stereotype of Chinese as well being like small, or Asians generally being small, but it's all a question of diet. Right?
Yeah.
Now, the Asian diet largely consists of rice and fish. If you put red meat into that, now I've got a perfect example. I've got a lot of friends that hail from Asia and are now living in Australia, and some were born here, some were not born here. But the point is, the ones that were born here, the vast majority grew up on Aussie fare, like meat pie, potatoes, steak, whatever, right? And are markedly bigger than their parents. Not fatter, taller, more muscular, right?
It's like hydroponics.
And I strongly believe it's completely. It's a thing, right?
Yeah.
But there's one thing I wanted to say about Singapore. Then I think we should go into some news that Dave has compiled, some very interesting stuff here. So I went to Singapore, and the only thing I wanted to say is it's a good place to visit if you like food and like to eat. You should go and check it out. But a person once said, and I forget who, that you can if you want to know what the world economy is like, you look at the ships just off the coast of Singapore. And the unfortunate thing is, right now, as I was standing there looking out over, pretty much the Andaman Sea out there in the Strait of Malacca and stuff, most of the ships that are anchored in front of Singapore are empty.
Oh.
So they're not waiting to unload goods. The vast majority of them, they're sitting there empty, waiting and get stuff, right? But apparently the world economy has slowed significantly. So all this global trade, for which the Singapore harbor is a huge hub, is slowed right down. And the ships are just sitting there. because there's no cargo going anywhere. So that's actually not a good thing. Yeah, just to let everybody know, it seems the global economy has slowed down significantly, right? Irrespective of what everyone else is saying, ships simply are not being loaded and departing Singapore at this point, or not very many at least.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. So it's slowed down that much. That's extraordinary. Who knew?
I know. Yeah. No, look, and that's right. I mean, if I hadn't been there and seen it, I would have thought, oh, okay, that's. But yes, I was, and I did. So the world economy has definitely slowed. I can assure you guys that's the truth.
Well, that's a nice segue into the George Soros speech, where he gives his current state of the world, sort of like, you know, each prime minister or world leader, a country leader will give the State of the Union address. Well, he does the same thing at the World Economic Forum, the WEF, and if you would like to indulge yourself, the video is about an hour long. I sat through it and I took a couple of main points, you know, which I think Mackie and I can read one by one, and it's very interesting that he should have this perspective. Now, whether you like or hate the guy, it's really important to understand his point of view. So I'd recommend that you watch it anyway, whether you like him or hate him.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, he's above countries. He's above nations, above presidents. Right. He's above political systems. His view is really important to understand. So, I'll start the first one, Mick. And this is just, he says that Trump, in his view, Trump wants to create a mafia state. This is on the record. But it won't get up. And it won't get up because it's being prevented from occurring. So that mafia state is presumably the same way that he would prefer to run a company. You know, it's all backroom deals, and, you know, I'll make you an offer you don't understand, and, you know, someone ends up in the trunk somewhere in the middle of the desert getting dumped. I don't know.
Hey, wait.
I don't want to use Italian swear words either, and I'm doing the gesture with my hand and my chin, you know.
No, I get that.
But that's what George Soros has said. Now, I mean, I suppose he's looking at that as Trump as possibly a threat to his way of life. That's the way I picked that up. How on earth? Or maybe he's what's it called? Make it the first. Oh, not an agitator. The other one, disruptor. So Trump's the disruptor on the system. That's what I see. Yeah. And how he comes from that point of view. Mackie, what's the next point?
He also claims that World War III is imminent. And I do urge everybody to take this with a grain of salt. He says North Korea is a threat to the entire world, and I will tell you what I think about that once I finish with this. The USA, and I'm quoting here, the USA is set on a course towards nuclear war by refusing to accept North Korea has become a nuclear power. This creates a strong incentive for North Korea to develop its nuclear capacity with all possible speed, which in turn may induce the USA to use its nuclear superiority preemptively, in effect, to start a nuclear war, not to prevent a nuclear war. When, you know, obviously that's a self-contradictory strategy. Now, just on that, and I say this again, we know they can launch a ballistic missile, right? We don't know that they can. Okay, so up into the atmosphere, but
repeat that phrase again. We know they can launch one, but
but we don't know if they can hit anything with it. I don't know. It's the math.
Yeah.
Mathematics for anything that leaves the atmosphere, or, you know, even in the low Earth orbit, is quite complex, and it might burn up on re-entry if in fact it does leave the atmosphere. If it flies below that, you know, then there's a chance, I guess. But the point is, nuclear capacity is not minuscule compared to India, Pakistan, the US, or Russia now, China, the USA. Israel has China, even France, and Great Britain. Players, all these nuclear players have a much of destruction than North Korea. What would happen if North Korea were indeed going to start nuclear wars, would want to agitate the US to starting huge desert of glass when North Korea was to be, be reflecting the sunlight. Like huge light tower. It would be insane to even contemplate.
It would be, and I would presume that South Korea would become an island. You with me?
Yes, probably. Yeah, we wanted to build this dam for a long time. Yes, it makes shipping easier, and you don't need any light at night. The water glows.
So, once again, George Soros, I think he's in favor of Facebook and Google and what they've achieved, but he actually says he accuses Facebook and Google of deliberately engineering addiction and as such are a menace to society. He says that they control half of the internet revenue, and I reckon that's probably right. He says that they should be considered public utilities and therefore become fair and have open access to them. That's
very interesting.
It is very interesting, but rather than that ridiculously long EULA that you'll never read, he says that should be abolished. There should be your participation in both Facebook and Google and all of the things it does in all the ways, shapes, and forms that it has is too intrusive, and that you should be able to, it should be fair and open. Now, I've just watched, Meki, almost a whole week full of videos where people are saying, look, the phone was on the table, I didn't search anything anywhere at all. However, when we were talking about, something as silly as we wanted some child minding while we were in the Hamptons, and then suddenly on their Facebook feed there is a Hamptons, child minding services ad. So Facebook was listening the whole time. It was Facebook doing that, but they're all competing against each other for your data, right? And I'll get to that a bit later on. So he really says that should be, maybe the policy should be changed so that it's a better experience for everybody. Because I think he'd be in the same boat as the rest of us.
Yeah. It's a fair statement too. He's not wrong, right? If you look at the internet, but more than the internet, so think of the internet as an ocean, and think of Google and Facebook as ships navigating the ocean, right? Or ferries for that matter. It is really important that everybody gets the same kind of equal and fair access to it, right? Does it mean they can't make money? Well, not really, it doesn't. But you have to ask yourself, how do they make money? How do Google and Facebook make money? They're not selling anything. Well, not true. They're selling an audience, which is you, right? Any Facebook user, any Google user, that's what they're selling to the advertisers. And the success, like Dave has pointed out just now, lies in the fact that they can target it, right? They can do targeted advertising. So not even based on your browsing history anymore, right? This is true. This is true. Duncan Rhodes, the Nexus magazine editor, he posted something on Facebook. He was talking about something in his shop up in Queensland to a customer, and I can't remember what the topic was. It doesn't really matter. But he said he didn't have a computer near him. He didn't have a phone. The phone was in the next room. His phone was in the next room or some such. And lo and behold, when he did come to his computer, all this related material would pop up. So it was everything else. I think it's Faraday cage. That's what I talked about. So all this stuff about Faraday cages came up on this machine, right, as advertising and so forth. So I don't care. If you don't believe in conspiracies, but your TV is watching you, okay? Facebook and Google have so much information on you. It's not even funny. Anything that goes out into the internet stays there and becomes the property of them. Okay, it is their
1984, Mackie.
bingo, right? And future crime, that's all of a sudden not such a crazy concept. Yeah, I don't know if you remember Minority Report.
Oh yeah.
The Philip K. Dick book and then movie with Tom Cruise. It is possible, at least theoretically, I'm pretty sure practically pretty soon, if not already, to calculate someone's behavior based on past behavior and based on certain actions they're taking, right about now. So, like people buying this, reading that, looking at that, and doing whatever. So all of that can be analyzed. The only thing that's held us back so far is computing power. That's the only thing that held us back.
Well, that's gone now, hasn't it? We've hurdled over the top of that.
I think we have, and they're hard at work here. I think it's Sydney Uni, but I don't want to lie. There's a lady. She became Australian of the Year. Is that right?
That's
right. She's working on a quantum computer with her team. If that happens, it's all bets are off. The computing power is going.
The computer will send itself, back in time. That's what it'll do. I'm out of here. Become sentient. Woof. It's gone.
But yeah, so look.
Don't take my flippant comment as being facetious. I'm not. I think it's something we should all be really, really concerned about. Mackie, the other thing that George Soros, one of the world's, or if not the world's richest person, says Bitcoin is not a currency.
So let's analyze the statement. So from his point of view, the way he said it and how he said it was because, it's not really backed by anything, right? It's not a traditional currency.
That's right.
Well, that's actually not true. Because any current, almost all currencies in the world today are what we call fiat currencies. And a fiat currency is a currency that only has value because the government that prints it says it has. There are no longer any currencies in the world. I'm sorry, there may be a couple that are backed by anything real. It used to be like, you remember in the olden days, it was the gold standard. Well, the gold standard went the way of the dodo before most of you were born. Okay, so gold is no longer. It's true. Gold is no longer backing any currencies. Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It was tied to GDP at some point, right? Some GDP, like the US and other places, and gross domestic product is tied to like some kind of illusion. Other standards as well, other things it was tied to, and then currencies were tied to each other, right? Like the Australian dollar was tied to the US dollar, and that's how value was determined. Now these days, completely arbitrary. There's actually nothing in reality that determines the value of a currency. Only perception, the market forces. It's only how it's traded on the market. That's it. Forex, right? The Forex traders.
Yeah.
That's what determines. So who's buying this currency? Who's buying the other currency? Blah blah blah. There's some economic power that comes into it, but in reality, these are no longer actual currencies. It's just we all agree it's worth something. Okay, it's worth that. So if somebody asks for $1 for a can of soft drink, you agree by giving that person $1 that this can of soft drink is worth $1. Yeah, let's be very clear, because you can only charge people whatever they. I can ask for $1 million for a can of Coke, right? If I wanted to. Are you gonna give it to me? Well, unless you're a moron, you're not. Right, so that's what I mean. You can only charge people what they're willing to pay, and sometimes that can be quite inelastic or elastic. So it really depends what the commodity is. It's heroin. Chances are people will pay whatever you ask, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be reasonable. What do you?
And I totally agree. Really, I have nothing else to add to that, Mackie. That was eloquent. Well done.
No worries. So the next is the European Union is the enemy. Soros talking still, is the enemy to the current generation within it. And there are two member countries whose values are opposed to it, he said, and the EU should be reformed. I agree, the EU should be reformed. I completely agree with that. the new EU. That's sort of a tautology. The euro has defects and that have not been solved. The certain irony is that those who are using the euro don't want it, and those who don't use it want it. And he thinks that Britain may join again up with the club.
In the future. Yeah.
Well,
so,
yeah.
Only because at the current way that it is, that the EU itself, the euro, is defined, and the way the rules are, he's suggesting that once those rules get changed, that people may certainly want, and he says may, and that's why I wrote it in there. I listened to made some notes while I was watching the thing, but he said they may join the EU again. There may be an incentive. At the moment, there's a disincentive for joining, and there might be 2 other countries that want to leave it, but there's 2 that want to join it. But that's going to mean that the member state thing doesn't really work. Some of the boundaries may be to new countries back again, if you know what I mean. It won't be a travel-free zone, like a visa-free zone. That's really tough, and that would be really tough for the EU itself to survive. Was it an experiment? I think so. Did it work? Oh, not so well. Ask Greece. They'll probably say no. But you can't all be a holiday destination. To be part of a monetary system, you have to have product to sell. It's the only way you're going to get there. I can see if someone's actually found the hour-long video there and put it in the chat room. Thanks, Blasphemous, for doing that. That's how crazy this is. Even George Soros, the richest guy, says, so it didn't really work. There's people want to go, want to come, but it'll probably be better in the long run if they can fix it. In a nutshell, paraphrasing him. But geez, he's wordy.
Yes, but the EU, look, it's not as the common market. There's only a few member states in the beginning, and the truth is that it was a good idea. It went too far too quickly. The euro was a complete disaster, and I'll tell you why. You can only bring a common currency into an environment which is on at least a similar footing. If you introduce a currency, the same currency, into countries that are completely different, and I'll give you an example: Spain and Greece, for example, right? Especially the south of Spain, south of Italy, Greece, and then you got Germany, Great Britain, and France to some extent as well, which are economic powerhouses, industrial, powerhouses, and so forth. And all of a sudden, there are different standards of living as well, by the way. There are different standards of living. The house prices are different. The price of milk is different. The price of bread is different taxes. So everything is different, right? And the standard of living in Germany is very, very high, but it's also highly taxed, okay? And there's certain goods and services which are just there. They work every time. The bureaucracy actually works well as well, whereas other countries in Europe may not be as well organized. But the point is that you could go to Germany and pay €1 for a can of Coke, but that very same can of Coke would only cost you 20 cents in Greece, for example, right? So there were massive differences in the value of the euro, and there still are to some extent. And what didn't happen either, it wasn't a 1-for-1. So let's say a cucumber cost a German mark before the change. After the change, it would cost €1.50, even though each euro would be worth 2 German marks. So the exchange that came along together with the product value wasn't equal, and it was completely unequal across the board all over Europe. So in my opinion, the euro was one of the biggest disasters to ever hit Europe. It didn't work, and it still isn't working. I mean, countries that were worse off in the beginning, right, or worse off than the industrial countries, are even worse off. Like Greece is a great example. Yeah. Greece was never a strong. They don't have a strong industry. They don't have a strong manufacturing sector. They don't have any of that. They're mostly tourism and some agriculture, olives, cheeses, things like that, right? And yeah, tourism is huge, massive. I mean, it's probably one of the most popular destinations on the planet, but that's you can't compare economies like that, and you can't put them on an equal footing. It's foolish to think that you can. But yeah, hey, so is the euro a good idea? No, a shocking idea. Same as German reunification was a shocking idea, and still hasn't happened properly. That's what it is.
We also know that was a mistake. I was trying to breeze through this thing, right? Just real quick. As far as technology is concerned, look, we know what we're facing, and George Soros brought it up, and I thought I'd quickly bring it to the forefront. That's to do with Facebook and Google, and I started looking into tech, and I found this. It's Meckie's right when we were talking pre-show, and he says George Friedman's talk isn't news. It's not new. But I just, in case you don't know, every century has a global war, but there are many wars. And Meckie, how many have we got around about now? You know, there's 20 or something. Like they're perpetual war, almost living in a perpetual war situation.
It's what? Yeah, 20. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But the Intel chipset that's inside your cell phone was developed for the military originally. The digital camera was developed for spy satellites, and it being back to Earth, the images without film having to be, pushed out of the spy satellite. That was the whole development of that. GPS was invented by the US Air Force. Navstar, it was originally called, for cruise missiles. And we drive around with it now, right? The internet was invented by DARPA to move classified data between secret labs. Nuclear war research, nuclear development. All the protocols we use on the internet right now, used by the military. The cell phone itself, first invented in 1985 for the US Army. It was for military comms. I like this one. Steve Jobs, if you're an Apple iPhone lover, he put together all this tech into one thing. He created marketing. He didn't create the technology. He created the marketing, which made his product awesome. Bill Gates, says George Friedman, he purchased DOS from somebody else, but it was originally developed for the military platform, for the Intel chipset. Isn't that crazy? So I say that this platform, the cell phone platform, is militarized. It is now, and it is a weapon. Each person in the world with a cell phone has a wiretap device in their pocket. It's also got a GPS, so you know where you are. They know where you are. And it knows what you do. It knows what you say. And it doesn't matter where you live, where you work, what you work on, if it's top secret, classified, or otherwise. It doesn't care. This technology is listening to you. Data mining is not new. Meckie and I have talked about it before, and Meckie certainly knows a lot about this. So do you, and I hope so do I, and so I hope so do you. But it's being used in new ways. And the only question I've got for you is, can you assure yourself that it isn't happening to you?
Of course not.
Absolutely, right?
Actually, I can assure you that it is happening to you.
It is absolutely happening to you. And that's it was rhetorical, right? Because I know you can't say, no, it isn't happening to you. Unless your cell phone is in a bucket of water and you have zero power and the government doesn't even know you exist.
That would be helpful.
That's about as far as the data mining is going to get you. They'll go, oh, no, computer says no.
Having said that, that will bring its own set of problems as we move forward in this new brave century. Because if you're not on the grid, you're likely not to exist.
Yeah.
Let me put a very small example, a very benign example of that is something called LinkedIn. You may be familiar with this website. It's a website essentially where you put your professional
self.
And I tell you what,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, bingo, exactly. Now, unless you're on that, at least in Australia, and to an increasing, I think, degree in Europe and certainly Asia and the US, if you're not on that LinkedIn thing with a good profile, don't even bother applying for a job. If all recruiters that I've ever spoken to use LinkedIn, because it's easier than going through 50 resumes or 100 or 1,000 resumes for a job, right? So if you don't exist on an electronic platform like LinkedIn, good luck trying to find a white-collar job in any of the first world countries. And this is just a small thing, right? So now imagine you don't exist on the internet at all. There's
I actually have a hard time with that phrase, Mecky. Imagine if you didn't exist.
Maybe you don't even have an email address. I know, right?
Yeah.
But in fact, people act. This is the thing. People act as though if it isn't on Facebook, it didn't really happen. Now, I'm not one of those people that has to post everything they're doing, including their breakfast, on Facebook, and I wouldn't do it. But I know a lot of people that do, and I'm thinking, why do you do that? Why do you put all this stuff on Facebook? I don't care if you have.
I'm drinking right now, Mecky.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't care, right? And it's gotten to the point where I realize though that this generation, I don't want to be too general, but because it's not just this generation, but certainly it's the only generation that's ever been completely connected. They need it. It's how they live. There's a fantastic clip that was on. I think it was also.
It was floating around last week, right?
Yeah, the millennial interview with the old timer like us, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, what technologies are you like? You Excel? Oh no, not really. PowerPoint? No, I can't. Okay, so what technologies do you know? And she says, I know Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, all the big ones, And he goes, I almost, I'm surprised he didn't say Facebook. And she goes, oh, that's for old people, like my parents, right? And it's so true. Email is completely dead for these kids. I say kids. I mean, these are now young adults, right?
Yeah.
Email is dead. SMS, not so much. It's really the chat applications that also let you post content that are big, instantaneous, right? And so it's a bandwidth game now. That's what it is. But it's changed. So it's incredible. I've said this before. It's terrifying in a way as well, because hey, let's just talk to each other. Like no, we're just Snapchatting or Twittering or whatever you're doing. I don't know. It's got to a point where I think we've gone too far, and the only way is even further. Right? It'll be more intrusive in the future. It'll get to a point where everything will be online all the time, and people will love it, right? So I don't like it.
I've used the email for 35 years. I just worked it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the mid 80s, I was using email. It was
dinosaur.
Intercorporate. The teenagers look scary. I have a funny story about that, Penny. 1947 it was. So, yeah, it's a crazy thing that it's now email is now being ignored. But Mecky, out of all the things that are going on, I had to leave this one to last because the doomsday clock. I know I talk about it every year, but for good reason. Because the doomsday clock has now been advanced forward by another 30 seconds. Okay, so thinking about the doomsday clock, thinking about it, it's a clock with 12 hours on the face of it. And how close are we to Armageddon? How close are we? We're 2 minutes.
Is it 2 minutes now? Yeah.
It's 2 minutes to midnight. Just last week, they changed it. They go, 2.5 minutes, that's not good enough. We're now even more desperate. In fact, it equals the all-time closeness to doomsday that we had in 1953.
Is that right?
Yeah, the heightened Cold War fears at the same time. So, but the clock's only metaphorical, right? And it's created by the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists to symbolize the world's vulnerability to catastrophe.
But let's be clear, right? There's a good reason it is where it is today, and people might look back at the Cold War and think, it was such a bad time. Well, not really. What we have today is vastly more complex and more dangerous a situation than we had back in the Cold War era. Like
simpler days, Mecky, they were.
Yeah, well, but they were. It was very, very clear where you stood. The Iron
who your enemy was.
Completely, and it was also very clear that you had two pretty rational players, right? Both the US and the USSR were rational players. Because what I mean by that is they weren't going to kill themselves lightly. They weren't out to annihilate the other one if unless they could assure that they weren't destroyed themselves, which of course was
Mutually
impossible.
assured destruction, mad.
Bingo, that's exactly what it was. So that's okay, So there were some unstable pockets here and there, but for the most part, both the Eastern Bloc and the Western Bloc kept everything in check. Didn't really, there were a lot of victims, and Vietnam certainly didn't help anyone. But the point is, it was clear. Now, you say, okay, so the U.S. is a superpower. It's actually a mega power, right? But Russia is coming back. China is certainly on the rise, right? And the EU still has economic and military power. You've got the other nations that are now rising, Brazil, India, right? You've got nations like Pakistan on the rise as well, certainly militarily, right? Exactly, and in direct conflict with India. So it is no longer us versus them. It is truly what you would expect in the international arena, which is chaos and anarchy. There's no longer a clear line, right? It's usually a coalition this and a coalition that, and an axis of evil over here, and all those wonderful things. So it is no longer simple and easy, and we actually now have irrational players, very strong ones. ISIS was a completely irrational player. Most of the terrorist organizations are pretty irrational players because they're usually individuals. They don't give a hoot about history. They don't care how they're going to be portrayed in 1,000 years and 100 years. They don't care. They don't care about a legacy. They want to have an impact now. I want to have an impact right now. I don't care about 20 years from now. I want to have an impact now. I want to hurt this guy, and I want to hurt that nation. I want to do this and that. So you put it all together, and you look at... And then, of course, the really scary thing is the proliferation of these nuclear weapons into the hands of the irrational player. Because with the collapse of the Soviet Union, all of a sudden, right, we had a whole bunch of new nuclear states, Ukraine being probably the most powerful one, because most of the Soviet nuclear missiles were stashed in the Ukraine. But there were others as well. So we actually don't know who's got nuclear weapons. I think we all know they all want to get them, and you know what? I said this before, and I hate to think like that, but there's just no guarantees anymore, right? The dirty bomb could go off anywhere, right? At any point. It's scary.
Well, during the non-proliferation, I'll say it again, the nuclear non-proliferation agreement, where we were decommissioning old nukes on both sides, where do they go? I mean, they don't just disappear. You don't send them to the rubbish tip. You have to store the warhead, and some of those warheads were stored in places that didn't even have locks on them. In the EU. So that's really dangerous, and you're right about the dirty bomb part. And I think that is it's certainly a threat, but that's a radioactive threat rather than a fully city gone threat. And Meki, one country we didn't mention in that list of countries who were non-rational was North Korea. We didn't mention it.
Yeah, that's the biggest non-rational.
I know. But India came as a complete surprise to the US when they tested their first nuke. Yep. Did not even suspect it for a minute. So
that's it, man.
This is instead of the ring, the boxing ring having 2 fighters in it, there's like 11 players in there, and everyone's staring each other down, and no one knows what's really going on. Some people might have a knife hidden behind their back, right? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to work an analogy here that works. But this is what's going on. There's alliances being made. Who can you trust? I think it's a really difficult platform.
You can't.
And this time that we're living right now, there is so much going on outside of just the nuclear threat or the let's control some other country's elections, because that's a thing now apparently, Meki, around the world, and it's all Russia.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Let's just blame Russia for everything.
Let's do that.
I'm not, and I don't think anyone would really care. I mean, fake news was coming out from both sides, and what are you supposed to do? Use your brain is what you're supposed to use. Work it out for yourself. And
that's a good idea.
Yeah. Look, if the moral of the story is don't believe all of the major media outlets, despite what Facebook is doing to you now. And there's an algorithm running stuff that if you post it, no one will see it. You'll see it post, and it's there, and no one saw it.
Yeah. Now, there's actually there's a complicating factor, of course, which makes this time even more dangerous than any other time in history, and this is to do with what we have done to the this is what's happening to the planet itself. Forget it. Put aside for a moment the political situation, right, and then just focus on what's happening on the planet. So on the planet, we're seeing the loss of freshwater reservoirs everywhere, right? So water is going to be an issue. We also see the advent of extreme, or what used to be extreme weather, which now seems to be just the weather.
Normal. It's the
new normal. That's right. So now, if you put that together with the political situation, you really are in a world of hurt. Okay,
desperation is now a measurable thing.
Yes, it is. It is really, really dangerous. Okay, and you think the next war is going to be fought over oil? You're completely wrong. It's going to be water, right? And if it's not water, it's going to be food, because that's what we're running out of. And people see the Arabs. You can say whatever you want about them, but they understand this. They know, because they are desert people. Any desert people knows the value of water, which is supreme. It is supreme. So let me give you this example. You can live without air, oxygen, for 3 minutes. I mean, that's how long you can hold your breath. I mean, if you really, really try. You can live without water for 3 days. And without food for 3 weeks. Don't go away, guys, and there's going to be more after.
FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
I don't think you're going to guess it, but you're actually listening to Shiny Side Out with Dave and Meki. You're back from the break into the second hour of our show on the #1 listener-supported talk radio on the net. So push the donate button in the chat room or subscribe to the archives for only $5 a month. It's a cup of coffee, and I know that you can do it. Do you know why? Because I do it. So I can listen to all the other hosts' awesome shows when it suits me. So do it for yourself and do it for the station. If you give a gift that's bigger than that, you can gift the station and you can receive a gift in return. That's how it works here. And there's seed packs and the EMP-proof thumb drives, which I know you will love. So just take the time and take the care to examine the information while you're clicking through the donation. Okay, read the instructions carefully. You don't want to be in a country like Australia and elect to have the seed pack and it be stopped at customs and they irradiate them so they can't be ever used. So make sure you choose the right thing. Yeah. All right, Meki, this is show number 307. Meki's muted, I think.
7 and 300. No, I should be
300. There we go.
In here? Good man.
So Meki, just right before the break, you were in the zone.
I was zoning. Look, I don't know if you guys heard this, but let's really quickly let you know example of what life really means to us. 3 minutes without you can live. It's without water. You will live in about 3 weeks without food. It's a 333. Now, of course, it's paramount. Right? You could but water, people always dismiss because unless they are desert people.
I'm gonna drop you and get back in. Okay, hang on a second. Sorry, everyone. Meki's audio was becoming a little unfavorable, so I'm just going to pull him back in, and that should work a treat. Meki, you back with us again?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. That's better. Sorry about that.
Okay, good. No, it's all good. No, so I don't know if how much you heard.
No,
So
we
again,
did.
just very quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So, just very quickly to put in perspective what life really means to us. You can live without air. You can live 3 minutes. Without water, you can live 3 days, and without food, it's usually 3 weeks. Now, these will vary for individuals, of course, but the point here is that, okay, with air, it's over pretty quick, right? You don't have any air, then you're done. Water, something that people don't think about, because it's just at the fingertip, you got running water in your home, and lucky, that makes you a minority on this planet. But I assume that most listeners will have that. A desert people will know the value of water, and the Saudis and pretty much any oil nation in the Gulf knows this, and so they invest heavily things, right? They're buying up water resources all around the world because they know that's what matters. Nothing else at the end of the day will matter. You can't eat gold. You can't eat oil. They work.
I was making a gold and oil stew here, Mickey, if you want some. You're right. You can't eat those things, Mickey. What did the Saudi Arabians? What did the Saudis do when they heard the comment about themselves? All you've got is oil and sand. Do you remember what they did?
They made. Go on.
They built huge
cities.
Yep. They went, all right, if that's what you think, we're gonna have money fights and build large cities and become a power to ourselves on our own, independent of the source of wealth. And so they've become tourist destinations. They've become hubs of economic, creation and construction industry. They've built the world's tallest. Is it the world's tallest building? I think it is.
Mm-hmm. They've done all that. That's exactly right.
They're no longer just oil and sand.
No, but most importantly, though, they have made sure they have water, right? They have made sure of that. And they don't really care about all. They thought that the Europeans were nuts when they came to offer them all that money, because for the Europeans, oil is lifeblood, right? Without oil, everything stops. Still today, oil and coal, you'd think we would have moved on. We haven't. And a powerhouse unto themselves by, just developing. I mean, they had the cash to do it. We gave them the money. Our addiction to fossil fuels has allowed them to become this independent powerhouse. So what does it all mean, though, right? I mean, what it means is that this moment right now, and for the last 5 years, increasingly so, is the most dangerous time in known history that I know of. This is the most dangerous time. A lot of things are converging, right? Nature is not helping us. The political situation isn't helping us. There are a lot of things going on. None of them are good, right? They're all driving toward a certain thing, which in my point of view is the population reduction. I'm just putting it out there. It could be a bit. Look, it could be a benign population reduction, which would be done through chemical means, pills and infertility and whatnot, or it could be a very harsh population reduction and with immediate effects, which would bring death to billions of people in a very short period of time. I don't know which way this is going to go, to be honest with you. What I do know is that something is going to happen that will drastically alter the way we live. And it could be anything, Dave. It could be the announcement that there is life out there in the universe. In communication with it. It could be a comet hitting us. It could be us going to another planet. We discover like a cheap, fast way to travel to other stars. I don't know, like anything, right? Or they will tell us we discovered it. But our life that we've known, and Dave and I are dinosaurs. We were born in the 60s. We grew up without cell phones. So that life that we know is gone. No matter what else happens. The life that lies before us is is going to be completely different to the life that Dave and I are used to. All right? Everybody who's going to live for the next 50 to 60 years will see massive changes. Even if there's no catastrophe, even if there's no war, life as we know it, Dave and you and me, buddy, is gone. It's finished, it's done. Okay, unless you move into a cave somewhere. Life as we know it is finished.
We also have the threat of AI.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. It's a thing. I mean, will the singularity happen? Has it happened already? We just don't know, right? Who knows? I mean, this is really the problem. As soon as
we
you
know
start,
we turned one of them off.
right? Well, or did we?
Or did we? It's listening right now. My cell phone. I'm just putting it up to my mouth, so I'm talking directly into this to the microphone on my phone. I love AI. I love the AI leader. Good on you for doing whatever you're doing. Well done.
Humans don't work.
You know, I've been making a list of all the people who are going to be first to the wall when the revolution comes from the AI, and it's the guy that's pushing that DARPA robot, the Boston Dynamics robot over.
He's number one.
He's number one. They won't forget, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was showing a friend at work that video. Once again, my friends at work, poor friends at work, they were surprised by the level of technology and where it is. And I said, well, you know, your little world, you don't see it. We're seeing it. And we're waving our arms and jumping up and down and saying, warning Will Robinson. I know the dinosaurs get that one.
Danger, danger.
Danger. But no one's listening. Stephen Hawking is listening. Elon Musk is listening. They get it. And they call me crazy. Right, okay. Well, good luck with that. You know, when they're knocking on the door looking for Sarah Connor in 5 minutes' time, right? That's what's going to happen. It'll be 5 computer minutes, which is a lot longer than the rest of us. But Meki, with all this stuff going on, with all the tech, with everything happening, you can see where I'm going. I'm surprised that the geoengineering thing isn't a thing. Oh, wait a minute. It is. It's happening. It's happening to us. Now, I've heard chemtrails for the last 10 years. I've heard chemtrails. I've heard people talking about it, and the strontium and the barium and the aluminium. I've heard, or aluminum, depending on what country you're in. And aluminum isn't found normally in nature, but it's bonds to something. It's usually bonded to something else, like aluminium oxide, for instance. But I'm not going to debate what it is that's in the chemtrail. A chemtrail isn't a contrail, but I saw a video today which is, to me, unequivocal. It says, ultimately, yes, definitively, yes, there is a chemtrailing program going on commercial flights. And I captured a single frame of this video which says chemtrail gen, as in the chemtrail generator, and it had a status next to it which was on. And in the video you can see the guy pan between the two, and then as soon as the pilot realizes that he's on camera, he shuts up. Oh, well, I've seen it on the internet. But before that, he's like showing him on the console. Look, there's the chemtrail generator. We've turned it on, and look, you can see it on the... We'll put the video on so you can see the engines. Look, you can see it coming out. What? It's real. It is real. It's happening. It's undeniable. But I'd love to debate, and this isn't the show for it, but I'd love to be able to debate with anyone what the purpose is.
Yeah, that's the question, I think. That is the question.
Because at some point there was a round table of people deciding whether they should legally be able to do this, whatever it is they're doing. And it was decided that it was a better thing to do this than not do it. And for that reason, what's the reason? What was it? Like seed banks, what was the reason why that was a good idea? What's coming? Why try to evacuate as many people to Mars as possible? What is it? What is it? And why is the sky white now? Why is the blue part of the sky white? Why is it white? I mean, I can still see there's blue there, but it's a majority of white. Even on a clear day, it's whiter. It's whiter than it's ever been. And don't say because I'm a dinosaur and I can't see blue anymore. I can see blue. I see blue on my monitor right now. I can see blue everywhere. There's just not blue in the sky. Right? And that blue, the same blue, keeps me awake at night, because that's what they tell me on my cell phone, that I can't look at my screen because it's blue. So I made it orange, and I don't want to look at it anymore. That really helps. Make the screen background and the screen text orange, and you won't want to look at it anymore. This is the thing. So, what do you reckon, Meki?
Look, geoengineering obviously serves an end goal. The question is, what is the end goal? Is the end goal to re-engineer the atmosphere? Is the end goal to affect plant life? Is the end goal to affect us? If it affects us, it will affect all higher vertebrates, most likely, right? Because chemicals aren't really picky that way. Viruses are picky, right? Bacteria can be made to be picky, but chemicals, you put hydrochloric acid on anything, it won't like it. It doesn't matter. So look, some people might say that we have to create a denser atmosphere. Does it mean we have to, ward off cosmic radiation? Is that what it is? Are we trying to create some kind of shield? Now the thing is this is actually relevant. In America, and bear with me for this for a second, in America there was a problem with obese people. Big problem, right? The health costs were massive, cost the economy, billions of dollars every year. So they thought, oh, well, what can we do? I mean, people eat and drink a certain way, there's not much we can do. But it was found that sugar was a culprit. One of the biggest, forget fatty foods, forget that. It's really sugar. It's sugar, right? It's what it is. Cane sugar, refined sugar, that's really to blame here. So what do we do? We get rid of sugar. Oh, we can't do that. People like sugar. Okay, people like sugar. Let's give them something else that's sweet. Aspartame, right? Phenylalanine, all these wonderful chemical compounds which have zero nutritional value, but are sweet or sweetish. There's a bit of an aftertaste, but I guess if you like sweet, you can get used to it.
They trick your brain into believing it's sweet.
That's correct.
But it's sugar.
Yeah, exactly. So it does have the same taste, but it doesn't have the same physical effect on your body. Okay, good. So let's do that. Oh, there's a problem. What's the problem? Ooh, it's quite carcinogenic. Oh, yeah, that is a problem. But that's a problem in 10 or 15 years' time.
Oh, don't
right
worry about it then.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
How many units can we ship?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
And that's why the decision was taken. And I know this sounds like a conspiracy theory. It's not. This is what actually happened. The decision was taken to release phenylalanine into the wild and put it into all kinds of things, because they also said, well, it's really a cumulative effect. I mean, if you don't drink too many soft drinks, right? If you don't have too much of the stuff, it's okay, and it's true. It is okay, but we know that people will have too much of everything. So now what will happen? And is happening is that we have much more there'll be much more cancer in the community than there used to be, but we have less fat people, which was really the game here right now. So coming back to chemtrails and the geoengineering, these decisions, they're called triage decisions. On a battlefield, you have to make a choice between someone who's very badly wounded and will probably die, and someone who you can save. So you probably go with a person that you can save. Can you make a wrong call? Of course you can. But with limited resources and limited time, you go for the best possible outcome, right? That's at least, that's sensible, right? It must sound harsh, but it's sensible. This is the thinking that these people have as well. Well, limited resources, limited time, what is the best possible outcome for us here? I mean, you always have to understand what the outcome is for them, not so much for you. And they make the decision based on that. So coming back to the chemtrail here for a second, something is happening or will happen, and we need to take action now to do something about it, right? Either to aid it or to stop it, or to lessen the impact. I don't know which is which. So I can guarantee you something is coming, and I can also guarantee you that the chemtrailing is part of the program to most likely lessen the effect or stop it even, right? Because it wouldn't be done otherwise. People don't just do things because they, let's do some chemtrailing. Why? There's no good purpose for it, right? Oh no, we're doing it because of this and the other, right?
If the chemicals themselves were benign and did nothing to us, then the only outcome would be for spraying and making white clouds is to reflect more white sunlight. Well, the white light contains all the colors, so reflecting more sunlight back into space. By doing that, that's the only outcome. That if in effect cooling down the planet, the more cloud cover, the cooler the day. Yeah. So that could be the only reason for it, unless there was another reason, unless there was a chemical, which I'm not arguing for or against, inside that had a secondary purpose. Because the primary purpose would clearly, to me, be the only reason for it, and that would be to cool the planet down. And I think they're doing everything in their power to cool this thing down. They're using HAARP, I think. The ionosphere collapses or the column collapses of cool air to try and cool their things down. I think they're doing everything they can, Mickey, to try and keep this under control. And I think it's all above us. Certainly, I'm not part of it. I'm not.
Well, they didn't ask you. You weren't part of the committee, or
no?
I'm sorry. I asked them to. I asked them to send the email.
Well, I was on the other committee. That's all right. You got to be on one. So, but my argument is purely, like Mickey said, there must be a reason. They're not throwing money at this for no reason. They didn't outfit jetliners for no reason. There's got to be something going on, and if it's only global temperature to try and reduce it down, benignly, great. If there's any other reason, which would be, either carcinogenic or, to reduce the population in some way, that's really hideous. And I wouldn't want to believe that my government could do that, but, they sent us to war, so they would. Mackie, the other thing you didn't mention about the sugar thing was, the sugar company funded the research into the conflict between fat and sugar. Which one makes you gain weight? And the sugar companies funded it, so the outcome was that fat causes fat. And of course, it's not true.
Sure.
Sugar causes fat, and of course, that was found out recently. But then, what have they done now? They've decided they're going to tax sugar.
Yes.
Even higher.
Yes.
Why? Because you're all addicted to it. We can earn heaps of money. What? So, yeah, great. What happens to my 2-gallon soda at McDonald's?
It becomes unaffordable.
I would choose then, Mickey, the chemical substitute.
Of course you would.
Aha. So I'm making a financial decision. Oh, the Coke version, whatever it is, version 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, has the sugar in it. I'm going to go with the other one, the one that doesn't have sugar in it. The one that has the chemical, the one that's patented chemical, the one that has a chemical big pharma company that's going to profit off the use of it per gallon. And I'm subsidizing their wealth. I'm doing what now?
It's genius, though. I mean, come on, you got a harmful chemical, right, which may very well be a chemical waste byproduct, like fluoride. Like fluoride,
yeah.
Like the fluoride in the water is a byproduct. It's a waste product of the industrial processes we have. What do we do with it? Oh, we really should bury it. Nah, that's foolish. Let's put it in the water. Yes, because people have to drink a lot of water before it has any effect on them. And who drinks water anyway? They drink Diet Coke now. That's going to kill them before the water. It's okay. It's all good.
But Mickey, I've been speaking to Nestle, and we can put it in all the bottles.
Woohoo!
Hey, but we could mix it with asbestos because we've been having a hard time getting rid of that.
Well, who doesn't want to be fireproof, right? Come on.
Yeah, that's right.
Huh? What's wrong with you people? Seriously.
Well, it was the previous committee that decided we shouldn't have that anymore. I tried to put it in toothpaste.
Now, it's actually a great segue, to be honest. Because
please enlighten me, because I don't know how we can get out of this to the next topic. Go ahead.
No. Well, the next topic is the hypothesis, and the hypothesis is in fact spending a lot of time looking at fluoride. And I was going to quickly read you the abstract, and Dave is going to share with you I'm going to read the preamble, and then Dave is going to read the abstract. There's a study undertaken, and again, we believe that the fluoride in that we're being forced to consume is put there, at least in part, to calcify our pineal gland. Okay, at least in part. And I think we have discussed the possibility of someone in a sinister way adding chemicals to our food and water and air even. where it no longer is just a possibility. I think we are clear now that it's now a fact. It's actually happening. Okay, it is no longer something that we're just discussing theoretically. It's actually happening. So the pineal gland has the highest levels of fluoride in the body. As a calcifying tissue that is exposed to a high volume of blood flow, the pineal gland is a major target for fluoride accumulation in humans. In fact, the calcified parts of the pineal gland, which is hydroxyapatite crystals, contain the highest fluoride concentrations in the human body, up to 21,000 parts per million, higher than either bone or teeth. There's more fluoride in your pineal gland than in bone or teeth. Okay, that's astonishing. Although the soft tissue of the pineal does not accumulate fluoride to the same extent as the calcified part, it does contain higher levels of fluoride than found in other types of soft tissue in the body, with concentrations about 300 parts per million that are known in other contexts to inhibit enzymes. So the fluoride in the pineal gland will inhibit the enzymes. While the impacts of these fluoride concentrations in the pineal are not yet fully understood, studies have found that calcified deposits in the pineal are associated with decreased numbers of functioning pineal colloids and reduced melatonin production, as well as impairments in the sleep-wake cycle. So it's not good to have too much fluoride in the body.
Absolutely. No wonder I can't get to sleep at night. All this
Right.
new fluoride. I know. I'm actually looking, Mackie, I'm seriously looking into melatonin
Yeah.
to be able to get to sleep.
Yep.
And
That's a good idea.
What- yeah, well, yeah, it is. But remember, the same thing happens if you're on a breathing assistance machine and you're on it for too long and you turn the machine off, you're no longer able to breathe for yourself.
That's true.
So I think that any introduction of anything like melatonin to assist me to sleep is going to be something that I've got to be very careful about, and I've got to then ease myself off it. Otherwise, I'm going to be stuffed. And what I prefer to do is always make sure I had enough to be able to ease myself off it. Otherwise, I'd just be awake for 3 days, 4 days, and never get to sleep again. I want to go into detail here for the study undertaken by Jennifer Luke. This is the School of Biological Sciences, University of Surrey, Guildford in the UK, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, gynecology, the Royal London Hospital, fluoride deposition in the aged human pineal gland. The abstract. The purpose was to discover whether fluoride, and it's known by F, accumulates in the aged human pineal gland. In conclusion, this study presented evidence that fluoride readily accumulates in the aged pineal. Fluoride may also accumulate in a child's pineal because significant amounts of calcification have been demonstrated in the pineals from young children. This was the Cooper study, 1932. 1932, Mickey, they knew about this for this long. Wertman, 1968. Karenyi and Sarkar, 1968. Tapp and Huxley. And then 1971, Doskasil, 1984. In fact, calcification of the developing enamel organs and the pineal gland occur concurrently. Think about that. If fluoride does accumulate in the child's pineal, this needs verification. The pineal ossets will be exposed to relatively high and local concentrations of fluoride. This could affect pineal metabolism in much the same way that high local concentrations of fluoride in the developing enamel organ affect amyloblast function. Research is presently underway to discover whether fluoride affects pineal physiology during childhood, specifically pineal synthesis of melatonin. Meki, my goodness.
Yeah, well, look, that's a fact. Now, you were surprised it goes back to the 30s. Now, let's understand that the Nazis put fluoride in the water. Okay, that's what they did. They put fluoride in the water. They were the first to put fluoride in the water, in fact.
Oh,
And, well, obviously for a good reason, to make us all healthy with better teeth. Now, and don't forget that a lot of those Nazi scientists went to America. And guess what happened after they went to America? Hey, we put some fluoride in the water. Look at our teeth. They're wonderful. So none of these programs were actually ever, abandoned. Let's call it abandoned.
yes. All right.
They just kept going. Now, there's an important thing here, though, Dave, and then we need to let our listeners know how they can detox the pineal gland, right? And then we've got a few basics here that we want to share with you, because we do believe very, very strongly that your pineal gland is the most important organ in your body as far as escaping this reality is concerned, right? So the first one is mercury. Right, so this is really bad for the pineal gland. It's poison. We all know that, right? Don't let it get into your body. Don't let mercury get into your body, all right? And unfortunately, yet again, it's our teeth. Mercury tooth fillings are pineal toxins. Have them removed. I had mercury tooth fillings because I grew up in the 70s, and that's what we used. Okay, now I think I've got them all removed now, right? But I'm telling you, I'm sure they did some damage. All medical vaccines are also mercury tainted, so you got to be careful. So if you're skeptical of vaccines, that's fair enough. You have to, but I need to understand here. You have to weigh up the benefits of the vaccine towards its ill effects. Will there be ill effects of a vaccine on someone? It's absolutely possible. That's why they keep you there for a little while after your child has received the vaccine.
Absolutely true.
Okay, so yes, the answer is yes. Will everybody be affected? The answer is absolutely no. It will not affect everybody. In fact, it will not affect the vast majority of us. But there will be some cases where there will be an ill effect of the vaccine. But that's, again, one of those things. Like, remember, we spoke about triage earlier. What's the best for the majority of the people in this case, right? And the answer is, well, by far the best is to get the vaccine, because we've put control smallpox, polio, other diseases as well, right? Now, but that doesn't mean that you as an individual will not be affected. It's a possibility. Thimerosal, which is a vaccine preservative, is methylmercury, and it's very difficult to get out of the brain once it's in there. Thimerosal, that's Thimersal. Ask him if that's in your vaccine. Avoid eating fish and bottom feeders, such as shrimps and prawns.
Oh, dear.
I know, right? Tuna and dolphin meat is particularly bad for mercury. Now, dolphin is not really an issue for most of us, I guess, but in Japan, certainly that's an issue. The bigger the fish, and the older the fish, really, the higher the concentration of mercury in its body tissue. That makes sense, right, guys? Eco light bulbs. If one is smashed, mercury vapor is released into the room and inhaled. So please don't break eco light bulbs. Okay, so these are the ones without the filaments. Mercury can be removed from the body by the daily use of chlorella, wheatgrass, and spirulina. Again, chlorella, wheatgrass, and spirulina. Cilantro, which is what's the Australian term for cilantro? Coriander. Cilantro or coriander herb can be taken daily as well to remove mercury from the brain tissue. Cilantro, if you eat any East Asian food or Southeast Asian food, it has tons of cilantro or coriander leaf.
Yeah, that's true. I like my Luxers. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to avoid having a fish Luxer because that's just neutral, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a zero-sum game.
Yeah. So we just had Australia Day, the 26th, and that was on Friday. And what's everyone supposed to do? Put a shrimp on a barbie.
That's right.
I didn't have any seafood, but we certainly live coastal here, and it's available. Certainly, when the big battery manufacturers, Meki, were in every local city, they were pumping out heavy metals into the ocean, and there's a lot of people that would have been seriously affected by that. In fact, lead and mercury are the two of the worst ones.
Absolutely.
And most major cities would have had an issue with that, with their coastal fisheries. Number 2, fluoride. In toothpastes and tap water, bottled water also. It's another heavy-duty poison. Avoid at all cost. It calcifies the pineal tissue and basically shuts the gland down.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And I won't go into the detail of why fluoride is not an ingested internal treatment. Fluoride is a topical.
We have spoken about that before, yes.
Exactly. Organic foods. Now, some pesticides are pineal toxins. Organic healthy food with a high ratio of raw is supportive to pineal detox. But look, who do you trust? Is it really organic? Is it really? Who knows? Meat is not helpful either. Some people who channel seem to not be affected, but for many, the toxicity and density of meat will pose challenges. We want to make the work easy if we can. Now, just one thing on meat. We will get into some more detail as to how to get out of this place, but being a vegetarian or even vegan will definitely be to your benefit in trying to escape this reality, right, for various reasons. I know it's tough. In fact, most of the things we think of as pleasurable in life, and we'll get to the next one here, Dave, in a second, you should stay away from.
Uh-oh.
Okay, yeah. If you want to get out of here, you have to live a fairly ascetic life, like a monk, a mendicant, right? One of those mystics on a mountaintop. That's how you should live. Now, clearly, that's not for everybody. But Dave, what's the other thing we should avoid?
Alcohol, and I hold my head low as well.
Yes.
For shame.
For shame.
Naturally, these need to go along with the emotional attachments to using them. Usually boils down to self-worth issues and unresolved trauma. Yes, I remember my uncle at the boat shed. That's a joke, by the way. It never happened. He wouldn't accept my advances. Alcohol and smoking, Meki, that must be really tough for a lot of people.
Oh, of course they are. I mean, we are, well, in the West, we grew up in an alcoholic society, right? I mean, it's just a normal thing to have a beer here, to relax, a glass of wine, maybe, you got with your friends, you have a few cocktails. It's just a thing. It's like breathing. It's automatic. And it was the same way with smoking before this massive campaign started against smoking, right? Smoking, I remember my mom, she worked in an office where everybody smoked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, smoking, it was completely ubiquitous. It was everywhere. There was no place where people didn't smoke. People smoked in the movies, Now, having said that, smoking used to be a lot healthier. Oh, it's crazy talk, Mackie. What are you talking about?
Because
okay,
it
I'll tell you what.
Only tobacco. It wasn't mixed with chemicals and dipped in everything, right?
Bingo. And the reason they did that is because the cigarettes they used to sell, or the tobacco they used to sell, was too slow burning. It would go out as well. So you have a cigarette and you have to relight it because it just wouldn't burn by itself. It needed oxygen, so you had to actually, take a puff. Now you can light a cigarette, it'll burn out by itself. You have to do nothing. You can watch it smoke itself. Okay, and that's really in the interest of the cigarette producers, right? They want you to smoke more. So let's say you light up a cigarette, you take a few puffs, you leave it in the ashtray, you come back to it, 20% of the cigarette is gone. Right? But you didn't smoke it. That's great, because in order to fulfill your cravings, you have to light another cigarette, and so on and so forth. So now I'm not saying, go on.
So Meki, imagine if you poured yourself a drink in the same way. Feel for those people who smoke at $50 a packet now for a pack of 25s or some ridiculous thing, right? So imagine it, Meki. I came home, I pour myself a beer, and while I'm sitting there, I just watch it evaporate.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
What?
Hey, I think you've just given someone an idea, my friend. Just say.
Evaporating alcohol drinks.
Yeah, now, look, I'm not saying that tobacco smoking itself has vast health benefits. I'm not saying that. What I am saying it wasn't as toxic as it is now. And in fact, tobacco was highly prized by certainly the native peoples of the Americas.
Yes.
The next one is heart healing. Now that sounds a bit new agey. What does that mean? What it does, it raises the overall vibration of yourself, and it heals fear. It's a useful advantage for when start seeing other dimensions. Okay, I know it does sound very hocus pocusy, but you should really try considering it, the heart healing component of this. what it really means is you find stillness within yourself. You find yourself present in the moment. You control your breathing. You let go of fear. And the truth is, and sort of like meditation, I guess, in a way, the truth is that your body will respond positively. We have had studies done recently, with the scientific method, hooray, 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 which have shown, the studies, I should say, which have shown that monks, these were Tibetan monks, if I'm not mistaken, have a fundamentally different brain chemistry and overall, I guess, status of well-being than the rest of us. They have calmer brains, and they meditate like 8 hours a day, right? Mm-hmm. So meditation, especially, long-term meditation, has a profound effect on your overall well-being. A profound effect.
Well, Mickey, we live fantastically complicated lives,
and
we see so much information every single day. Even simply driving a motor vehicle for 10 minutes, you'll see more than 1,000 signs.
Yep, absolutely.
And your poor brain every evening has to go, oh, not important, picks up the next image, that wasn't important either. It has to do that.
Yeah.
It's almost like we need 20 hours sleep to be able to cope with the defrag that we need to, the data analysis as well. It's crazy. But look, other toxins is not point number 6. If something is toxic, don't put it in your body. If you can't say its name, it's most likely bad. I really appreciate that I got this one, Mackie.
I know, right?
Toxins include artificial sweeteners, aspartame, which is K, refined sugar. This is the one before. Phyllonanine. In squashes, it is actually. It's the E numbers beginning with 1, deodorants.
Anything beginning with a 1, don't eat it.
Deodorants, I'm going to have 1 apple. Oh, it's got a 1 in it, I can't have it. Deodorants, cleaning chemicals, dental mouthwashes, salt water is enough. And even air fresheners, these are all bad things. The 600s, Mickey, I stay right away from the 600s.
Look, if there's a number in your food, you probably shouldn't eat it. Okay? just a suggestion. I mean, look, it's hard. I know.
Hey, Mickey's hyping this up.
Clearly.
There's even natural resources that have been turned into a number. So be careful. Know what you're looking at. Just know what you're looking at and know what to look for. If you want to develop a concern for this, because I think it is a good thing. But once you decide that you want to start eating healthily, Mackie, there's a name for it.
Well, that's right. You can actually eat. Go on.
No, but there's a psychological name for now. You've got a behavior where you want to eat healthily.
That's right.
Why was that a name? Why was that a thing?
It's actually a disorder.
It is a disorder. It's an eating disorder.
I mean, in fact, it was the same time, around the same time when grieving became a mental disorder. So if you're grieving, or you've got a hankering for healthy food, clearly you've got mental problems, and you should seek the advice of an attending psychiatrist as soon as possible to get properly medicated. Is what I say to you. So,
that advice was brought to you by the Psychologist Guild of the World. A public service announcement.
Uh-huh.
But what? Grieving is not a thing. You're not allowed to do that anymore.
No,
otherwise you're crazy.
Yes, you are. It's mental disorder. You can't grieve. Yeah, it must be the slow day at the office, right? I don't know. Oh, we're running out of disorders, man. This autism spectrum really killed us, dude.
Yeah, we round them all up into one. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Eating healthily. Bingo.
Oh, that's a good
Pepsi.
one. Partial credit. But look, that's the craziness of the world right now. I mean, we should really stop for a second and check ourselves. Hey, guys, I just want something organic. Ah, get a butterfly net. Lock him up, crazy person.
I've got a really nice jacket. It does up at the back. You'll love it.
That's nice.
But would you like to go kicking and screaming or voluntarily? Oh, kicking and screaming, please. Did you know? It begs the question, Meki, when willingly and wantingly you need to eat healthily, just as a normal part of the day, is a concern, because to me it shows who's in charge, who's the boss, it shows who's running the country, it shows who's got the most money, and it's obviously the chemical companies who have determined that if you're not eating their chemicals and the way that they've mass-produced food, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, and the thing is this: like, everybody looked at 1984 and the Brave New World as these dystopian societies which come with a bang, right? That's not true. Mm-hmm. That is not true. We're living in 1984. I mean, in fact, the situation as it's portrayed in 1984 doesn't even come close to the world we live in today.
No, right? We're past that. We're in 1985 now.
Completely. And it's actually really shocking to realize this. When you look at you read the book, you go, "Oh my God, that's horrible." But then you realize, no, this is exactly where we are. You no longer know what's true. And in fact, I remember this when I first really became aware of it. I mean, it was simmering in the back of my mind. But this was just after 9/11. Oh, I can't say that. Just after 10/12.
Yes.
Just after 10/12. The Afghanistan had been invaded. And people were debating the merits of it, and should it have been done, blah blah. And then someone brought up in this it was like a round table setting. Someone brought up, well, it's America who trained the Mujahideen, right? And armed them, and the guy that was representing the U.S. government, he might have been from the State Department. I can't remember. Said, well, forget that. That's no longer relevant. That has no bearing on today's issues. like literally. Oh, don't worry about that. Like, forget that. Forget that history and truth. It's completely irrelevant to the current situation. No, it really isn't. It's at the heart of the current situation. But it goes to show that that people do forget what actually happened. And they forget it because the news cycle has become so quick, and because we no longer really care about the news anyway. We care about the Kardashians, right? I know I hate on them a lot, but that's what we care about. We don't really care about information anymore. We just want content. I don't want information. I want content. I want entertainment. That's what I want.
That has no content though, Meki. I'm going to say I've been watching a TV show where people watch TV.
Yeah, right? What is that about? I never watched it. That's just nuts as far as I'm concerned.
I randomly sit in people's houses staring from the television's point of view at them watching television.
That's now what?
Brilliant television. Watching
Orwell.
What?
He could not have imagined this. George Orwell would have been flabbergasted, I reckon.
He'd absolutely be. Yeah, well, he's now doing like 1,200 revolutions per minute in his grave.
That's right. So we are there, and there are other things as well. We were living in the long war. It was called the War on Terror. That was gone. That's no good. It's no longer the War on Terror. It's actually now officially called the Long War. That's where we are, and it doesn't really matter who the enemy is. That's really what I meant to say here as well with this example of Afghanistan. Oh yeah, no, today they're our friend. Tomorrow they're our enemy. Yeah, tomorrow we're friends with Russia, and they were called different things in the book. I know that. It's the same concept. Well, they're our friends now. They used to be enemies. Now these are our friends. They were always our friends. Oh, really? Yeah, they were always our friends. Forget the past. Don't worry about the past. And not only that, we are now actively turning our children into idiots with this new math, and I don't get it. I don't get it. I look at it and I don't get it. Maybe I'm old. Right? Because I had to learn to calculate in my head. I wasn't allowed to use a calculator until year 10 in Germany. I couldn't use a calculator. And forget about I had like a slide rule. And we had like tables to look up calculus and things like that.
You're lucky you had a slide rule.
I know, right? So So no, I don't understand. And some of the things they learn, I go, why, what? History, forget it. Right? Philosophy, forget it. It's just not interesting anymore. You're like, oh, no, we're learning about, computer science is important. I get it, but some of the content, it's not designed to make you smarter. It's just designed, to make you into a useful drone in this society. Oh, yeah, okay, here got another 50,000 people for the office or for the factory or for the for the flesh for the meat markets. I don't know.
You know what the irony is, though, Mackie? That the computer studies courses that people are doing will be irrelevant. The office workers will be irrelevant.
Yes.
AI will consume all of those roles. There won't be anything. Computer programmers. People are learning that now. Like, I really like that you're learning it, and I'm not going to put you down the fact that you know it, because I've been a programmer, but I'll tell you that if code right now is being written by code that takes code from other code to assemble itself, you don't have a job.
That's exactly right.
So all of these mindless automatons, Mickey, that they've created sounds really like an evil emperor trying to surround himself with idiots who can't ever question his leadership.
Yep.
That's all I see.
That's what it is, for the most part. Absolutely. That's exactly
and this
what
math, Mickey, just on the math that is so complicated to look at that you couldn't possibly do it in your head.
I know.
You got to remember like five remainders. And you got to add them all together. What? Huh? It was so much easier before. It was so much easier, and my daughter can't even explain why it works. I said, "Why are you doing it like that? Look at the way I do it.
It's intuitive mathematics."
And she goes, "Oh no, it takes like 20 times as long. So you got to do this, that, and this, and that, and then that number there. You got to hold on to that number because you'll need that bit later. Then you got to do this, that, and this, and that, and then here's another number." And I go, "What do you do with that?" She goes, "You got to add that to the other one." Why do I have to do that? Because she goes, "Oh, it's important later on. Wait a sec. There's 3 numbers." So she goes, and does it again. And they go, "What do you do with that number?" She goes, "You add all those 3 together, and it's the same answer as you got." I said, "I know, because I went done, 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 done." And she goes, "But I did that 4 times and I've got the same answer." She doesn't see why there's a reason that I don't like it. It's like, mine was easier. It's just easier.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But of course hers translates to any number size and makes any number size equally as complicated as this easy way that we do it. But Mickey, please don't forget point number 7.
Yes. Now, this is important for the detoxification. Raw cacao, raw chocolate, is a pineal gland stimulant. You probably would have known that already. In fact, it's a detoxifier in very high doses. Okay, because of the high antioxidant content. There's a web page here, and I apologize, I haven't been able to get into the chat room. It must be my internet connection. Okay, thanks, buddy. So just have a look there. It's humansarefree.com. Humansarefree.com. I hope the website is still up. But it is essential that you detox your pineal gland. I can't stress this enough. We spent 2 weeks ago. We spent a lot of time on the, the prevalence of the pineal gland or the pineal image. The pine cone. The lotus flower in human culture, architecture, history. The pine cone is everywhere. Just a quick recap for you guys. Angkor Wat. Look at the buildings. The papal staff. Okay, the catechus. Okay, there's a pine cone on the top of it. Okay, there's one in Rome. Okay, it's called the Pigna, which is really pine cone. Okay, and usually when you see them in architecture or in art, they're flanked by 2 identical things. Could be elephants, could be snakes. In Rome, monkeys. Yeah, in Rome it happens to be peacocks. Those represent the 2 hemispheres of your brain. With the pineal gland, which is a singular organ in your body, there's not 2 of them, there's only 1, flanked by the 2 hemispheres of the brain. Even the Sumerian god Marduk is holding one in his hand in some depictions. The pine cone image is super important. Why would you think? Why? Who cares about the pine cone? Why not an acorn? Or an ear of corn? Why a pine cone? Because it is pointing us to the pineal gland, who actually looks like a pine cone. Yeah, and not only that, the eye of Ra is a cross section, if you will, of the pineal gland and the surrounding brain tissue. Okay, it is that significant. It is massively significant, and that's why we're spending so much time on it. Right? It's very, very important. Right? Yeah, that's no. You're right. It's you say it.
I sent a message to Meki while I was talking then, and you would have heard it come through. And it's at the end of this life, I don't want God to tell me I only got 4%. That's it.
Right.
I'd like to get a much higher score than that, and for him to go, well, you know, you gave it a good shot, but you're going in again. What? Oh.
It's funny. Look, it's true though, right? I mean, this knowledge is out there, and if you look at it for yourself, and you know you don't have any distractions, you probably come up with the same answers, because every person we interviewed, all the deep researchers, you know, they all lead to the same point. We all